Guatemala is a country with many beautiful landscapes and attributes. The humble people and rich culture is what makes Guatemala one of the most beautiful countries in Central America. However, due to their economic, social, and political struggles, Guatemala has faced their share of issues when responding to disasters. According to World Bank's Natural Disaster Hotspot study, Guatemala is ranked the fifth among the countries with the highest economic risk exposure. Due to poverty or economic difficulty and political corruption, it has been difficult for Guatemala to develop an effective emergency management program. However, since 1976 until present time, Guatemala's emergency management program has improved tremendously and has excelled in responding to disasters and emergency events. Guatemala is top-bottom, in which the implementations are established and are made in the federal and national level but carried out by the local government. The main participants or key players are governmental agencies with frequent assistance of international partners. Government agencies welcome and frequently visit both the public and private sector for collaboration. Guatemala's system is surrounded by the Disaster Risk Management, or DRM, and is coordinated by the CONRED, or the National Coordinator for Disaster Reduction. The National Program for Disaster Prevention and Reduction, or the PMPMD, focuses on mitigation preparedness. They are separated by 5 priorities: policy, assessment and monitoring, knowledge and education, vulnerability reduction and increased resilience, preparedness, recovery, and reconstruction at all levels. Its geography can be considered a hot zone for natural disasters. It is located between the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean, leaving room for high risk and vulnerability for hurricanes from both sides. The terrain is opposite from Florida's flat land. It is full of mountainous and volcanoes. It has estimated 288 volcanoes, of which 8 have proven to be active in the past, and the 4 continue to be constant threat to the countries, including Fuego, located in Antigua, Cerro Quemado, located in Quetzaltenango, Santiaguito, also located in Quetzaltenango, and Pacaya, located in Antigua. As if it weren't enough, Guatemala is grounded on 3 dangerous plats: the North American Plat, the Caribbean Plat, and the Cocos Plat, increasing its possibilities of earthquakes and volcano eruptions, according to WRF 2006. Due to its terrain, Guatemala faces high-frequency, low-risk floods, and lately have devastated and interrupted the social and economic and political development of Guatemala. Because of Guatemala's disposition, they concern themselves most with many natural disasters, specifically hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, and volcano eruptions. Numerous disaster events have shaped the current organizational approach to disaster management, involving mostly earthquakes, hurricanes, and floods. The 1976 earthquake struck Guatemala's then 3.4 million people. The disaster event had an estimated total damage cost of $755 million. It impacted social sectors, and according to United Nations Economic and Social Advice, it was the 3rd earthquake to hit within 4 years. Such was the devastation of Guatemala that it was forced to permanently change its old capital to Antigua to Guatemala City. There were many issues that Guatemala faced, including poor communication, poor population accountability, and lack of population awareness. Guatemala in turn created a coordination committee to better distribute necessities to the population to better coordinate international assistance. In order to better account for victims, Guatemala began to establish ambassadors to respond for particular zones, keeping count of people in poverty. Finally, to improve population and awareness, a continued improvement of job and school drills were implemented so that the population was better prepared. In 1998, Hurricane Mitch devastated Guatemala socially and economically. In comparison to the earthquake, Hurricane Mitch claimed less lives and injured fewer. However, it destroyed agricultural productions. Guatemala's already high crime rate skyrocketed. There were little response and reinforcements to combat the issue due to personal shortages. People were without homes and with minimal protection. Issues with Hurricane Mitch in Guatemala were mainly concerning the economical and social division and their slow recovery. In order to better protect the people, Guatemala created a project generation which concerns, and I quote, to attend to the victims of the disaster, rebuild and improve destroyed and damaged assets, reestablish productive and export processes, and a general help to reactivate the process of economic and social development, as said by USAID 2008. To combat recovery issues, an implementation of 2 stages was enacted. The rehabilitation stage, in which focuses on providing people with necessities such as food, water, healthcare, and housing. The second, reconstruction stage, is considered to be the most crucial in economic terms and ultimately improving social sectors because it leads to a finished establishment of country standards of living conditions. In this stage is where temporary and permanent programs are established to give complete evaluation of infrastructures and coding, for example. Lastly, the 2010 floods that occurred between May and September impacted Guatemala's infrastructure heavily. According to GFDRR, total damages costs were $1,500 million. Guatemala was not fully recovered from previous disaster events and had an accumulation of damages. Many were left homeless as their homes were not durable for disaster events. Issues that Guatemala faced were accumulation of damages and lack of infrastructure road codes. In turn, Guatemala focused on a more technological approach to better respond to the floods. They used damage and loss assessment meteorology and human recovery needs assessment meteorology to better respond to the damages, especially since the flood disasters were mainly due to the cumulative destruction. Guatemala used implementations derived from previous events in which proved to have better response and recovery results. All in all, Guatemala has improved tremendously in their abilities of responding and managing emergencies and disasters. Their organizations are more structured than before, and they have timely response. However, obstacles that Guatemala continues to face are the economic, social, and political struggles. Guatemala's advancements are in part due to international assistance, both financially and through materials. The continued economic struggle does not allow Guatemala to recover fully by the time another disaster occurs. All these interruptions impede social advancements, while political corruption does not allow for program improvement to continue growing.